Hello and welcome to a very special video. 37 games in the Premier League have already taken place. Just one game remains. It looks like United, I don't want to speak too soon, but it looks like we're going to get the Europa League football. But the story of our season in terms of the performances has already been written. So today I'm going to go through every single player that has played 5 or more games for appearances for Manchester United this season. They're going to be ranked out of 25. So from 25th, the worst season, to first being the best. So I'm ranking the 25 players that have played 5 or more games. And starting us off, we have Mason Greenwood. Obviously, I'm not going to talk too much about the reasons why, of course, but everyone knows the reasons why. He possibly, he's had more of a season, not just, a poor performance, which he wasn't actually playing too bad, but he might have destroyed his future in professional football. He may never play professional football ever again. At number 24, it is Jesse Lingard. He's had a horrendous season this season. He hasn't had a lot of game time. When he has come on the pitch, he's been woeful. There's been stuff surrounding, his brother, and different leaks coming out saying just a bit of disrespect towards the club. Yeah, Lingard's just been terrible. Number 23, Martial. Now, he wasn't selected that much during the start of the season, and I think he did get 1 goal against Everton, so he has scored 1 goal for us. But yeah, rarely played. Then went on loan to Sevilla and was been poor for them. But I'm only marking him on his United performances, which they've been hardly any and been pretty terrible when he's come on. Number 22, much the same, hardly any minutes. And that is Donny Van Der Beek. A lot of fans think that he should have played more this season. I think he probably deserved to play more games, but there were fans that were calling him to play in like a number 6 position. We've seen him play a couple of games like that at Everton, but he's been pretty poor there. Now he's injured at Everton, so we haven't seen him. We're not going to see him until the end of the season. But yeah, Donny's been disappointing this season. Under Ten Hag, I think he has got a future at the club. So we're going to have to wait and see. But yeah, pretty awful season for Donny, really. At 21, we've got Edinson Cavani. Cavani just doesn't want to be here. He's another one where he had extended leave. He could be down lower, to be honest. But I'll keep him at 21. He's had extended leave at the start of the season because he was homesick. Then whenever he goes on, he's always injured, and then he gets fit for international duty, and then he gets injured in international duty, so he can't play when he comes back. He just does not want to be here, and you can tell. And it's such a shame because the fans love him. The fans sing his name. He's got one of the best songs sung at Old Trafford that I've heard. But yeah, it is a disappointment, and the fact that he was saying, oh, he's homesick, and that's the reason why, he wanted to leave. He wants to go and play in La Liga next season. So I understand that Uruguayans, they speak Spanish, so maybe he can take his family over, and maybe his family don't want to come to England. But I don't know. I thought he was going to go to a team in South America, but apparently not. He wants to stay in La Liga, so that kind of quashes those statements that he's homesick. For me. But anyway, number 20 is Sir Phileas Jones. Phil Jones. I mean, it's amazing that he can get above anybody in this list, really, considering he's only had 5 appearances. But in those 5 appearances, I thought he played pretty well. So that's put him over the likes of Cavani and Martial, because I think Phil Jones does want to be here. He's just not good enough, and he's just massively injury prone. So Phil Jones in at 20, just due to lack of appearances. He only scraped it with 5 appearances, only scraped the requirements to make the list. And then another player who's rarely played as well, Eric Bailly, just above him. Again, very rarely played. hasn't looked fantastic, I don't think, either when he's played. I think he played against City at Old Trafford, didn't he, where he scored that own goal. Wasn't great. So yeah, that's why he's that far low down on the list. Now 18, a player who has played a lot of football for Manchester United, especially early on in the season, but was horrendous, and that is Aaron Wan Bissaka. Honestly, he doesn't resemble a footballer. Like, I watch him on the ball and he looks like Bambi on ice. Genuinely, he can put a slide tackle in, but honestly, any team that has any aspirations to play attacking football cannot have Aaron Wan-Bissaka in the team. He's had such a poor season that he's been linked with moves away from Manchester United, and I would like to see that. Even if it's like a £20 million loss. We bought him for 50. If we sell him back to Palace for 30, I'll take that, because he's not the future of Manchester United. Unfortunately, because he's English. Would be nice if he was class Englishman coming through, but I'd rather get rid of him and get somebody like a young right back in, like Jed Spence, for example, who's on the up and actually has some attacking prowess when he plays. Number 17, and I feel bad putting him here because, again, it's the only reason why he's here is just through lack of game time, and that is Juan Mata. He's looked good during the final stages of the season when he's played. He obviously played like the last game at Old Trafford. He was one of, if not the best player on the pitch. But realistically, I can't put him any higher because he hasn't played many games at all. So Juan Mata in 17. Now number 16, again another player who has played games but has been terrible. And that is Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford, for me, has one more season remaining. He needs to perform in that season. Otherwise, I think we should be looked to offload. There are a lot of fans that would like to see Marcus Rashford gone now. But I think that's a little bit reactionary. Yeah, for me, he's almost there. I'm almost done with him. But let's see. New manager, fresh start. Hopefully Marcus Rashford can find his best, because he has got a high ceiling when he plays to his full potential. So yeah, Marcus Rashford in at 16. Now 15, and a player that's played probably one of the most amount of games for any outfield player. I think Bruno's played more than him, but it's very similar, and that is Harry Maguire. What a season my guy has had. It's coming off the back of a great Euros, a great season before, and he's just been shocking, you know. And at the start, I was making excuses for him, and the rest of like Luke Shaw as well, saying it's a Euros hangover. They'll come good, but it just hasn't gotten any better. And to make it worse, he wears the captain's armband as well. He represents the club on the pitch, and he's been terrible. Ten Hag next season, he has to strip him of the captaincy, just to give, just to have the option not to play him. It's a lot easier to drop a player if they're not the captain of the club. So for me, give Ronaldo the captaincy, and just, you don't even have to say, oh, it's because you're terrible, Maguire. You can just say, you know, I think you should concentrate on your own performances, thinking about the captaincy and leadership of all the other players. I think it might be, you know, just too much. I want you to be the best defender you are without any distraction, so I'm going to take the captaincy armband. And, you know, you can dress it up like you're not doing that. It's not because you're shite. You can dress it up a little bit, but realistically, that is the reason why. And I'd love to see Ten Hag take it off him next season. Number 14, again, I bought a guy that I cannot understand how people rate him. Some people love this player, and I was at Old Trafford. I saw him score a worldy volley against Villarreal, and I still have no affinity towards him because he's just terrible defensively. You've seen that in the last game, and that is Telles. Telles is terrible defensively. against Brighton, when he headed the ball in the air, 50p head, and then he came back, and then it was just well, he just got bodied, didn't he? It was that display was just typifying what an awful player he is defensively. He's not awful going forward, but defensively he's tragic. So Tellez in at 14. Number 13, this may be controversial to a lot of people, to a lot of fanboys out there, but number 13 is Paul Pogba. Again, he's been injured a lot. You can tell he doesn't want to be here. He's just been... At the start of the season, when he got 4 assists against Leeds, I thought, oh, here we go. Not because he was moving elsewhere. Here we go, as in this season he's going to be electric. But since then, I don't know how many more assists he's got. He's probably only just doubled it in all the games after that. He's been poor this season, Pogba. There's a lot of people that try and defend him, but he wants to move away. There's a contract on the table for an extortionate amount of money, which he is not deserved of. I'll be happy to see him move. Even if he goes to City, I do not care. I don't think he fits City's system. I don't think he would be good. I don't understand how he would get over KDB, De Bruyne, Rodri, Bernardo Silva. He doesn't get in over any of those players, so I'd be happy to see him move to City. Realistically, he's more likely to go to PSG or Madrid, but good riddance. I do not want to see him sign a contract extension and make a mug of the club again. Number 12 is Scott McTominay. Now, his stark contrast to Paul Pogba, really. He has the passion, he has the desire to play for the club, but I don't think his ceiling is that high in terms of ability. I don't think he's a bad squad player, but to play week in, week out for Manchester United, he's not good enough. We've seen that this season, so he's in at 12 for me. At 11 is Nemanja Matic. Now, Matic has been playing a lot of games recently, but until then was barely played. At the start of the season, when he wasn't playing any games, I thought, okay, Matic can't play 90 minutes. Matic can't play one game every week even. His legs must have completely gone. And then we've seen him come in and play quite a lot of games towards the end of the season, some 90 minutes, and you think, why haven't we used him more then this season? It doesn't make any sense, because he was playing well in the remaining games. So yeah, Matic in at 11, not really his fault. I think he could have been higher if he was given more game time, but yeah, Matic in 11 just through lack of games. In at 10, Luke Shaw. Again, he's been a little bit injury prone. He's out currently. He had a shocking start to the season with Maguire. That left-hand side, it was like the Chuckle Brothers between Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw on that left. He then showed some improvement, and then now he's injured again. But yeah, I prefer him much more than Tellez. It's just night and day difference between him and Tellez defensively, and I think there's very similar going forward, to be honest. I think Shaw's better on the overlap. Tellez can probably put a better cross in, but I think Shaw's better at the overlap and actually kind of getting into the box even. So yeah, Shaw in at 10. Now, a player that I'm not worried about in at number 9. I'm not worried about. There's a lot of people that say he's been a flop. I think he's 21 years old. It's his first season in the Premier League. Yes, he understands kind of English football because he is English. However, it's his first senior appearance in the Premier League. He's come from Man City's academy to Dortmund, was flying in Dortmund, came into Manchester United, has took a period to adjust. He has had some good months, but not enough, has he? So Jadon Sancho in at number 9, but I'm not worried about how good this player is. I think he'll blossom. He'll blossom very, very soon. 21 years old, and we've seen him get progressively better the further down, the further into the season it's gotten. So it's looking bright for next season. He's obviously out at the moment with tonsillitis, so we're not going to see him at the end of the season. But next season, hopefully, he has a big season. Number 8, again, injuries have prevented him being high up on this list, and that is Raphael Varane. Not big money move. It was only like 30 million, a bargain really. But when we got him, you think you're getting one of the best centre backs in world football, which he could be. I think what's plagued him is just that lack of getting a run of games before getting injured or having to miss a couple of weeks. So Varane, unfortunately, yeah, he's in 8 just through injury, through injuries. But next season, hopefully, he can get a good run. Hopefully, this is an atypical season, and he remains pretty strong and doesn't have as many injuries, because I think it's impossible to build success if you're constantly changing your centre back partnership. I think your foundations need to be strong, and if you're constantly chopping and changing, I don't think that's helpful. At number 7 is Diogo Dallow. Not a bad season for him at all, to be honest. For saying he wasn't really near the first team at all. Had a loan at AC Milan. Was okay at AC Milan. I think he still has a lot to learn defensively. He's not bad going forward. He can put a cross in. He's got a few shots from distance as well. Yeah, I think Dallow for himself, if you asked Dallow how his season went, I think he would say, yeah, it's been decent. And I would agree, from being nowhere near the first team to where he is now, like, definitely our first choice, and I would want him as first choice as well. I think he's had a decent season, so he's in at 7. Now, number 6, a player that's been our best player throughout the previous 2 seasons. It is Bruno Fernandez. Even though he's got decent stats this season, he's got a decent output in terms of goals and assists. If you watch the game with your eyes, Bruno's been infuriating this season, especially towards the end of it. Halfway point, I think he was all right. He was playing well, but towards the latter half of the season, he's been terrible, hasn't he? Like, been petulant, just moaning at everything. He does a great interview, but he's not showing it on the pitch. Like, even sometimes, like, lack of running, believe it or not, with Bruno. Sometimes, like, in terms of tracking runners, when a player's got the ball, he tracks back and puts a tackle in. But if a player hasn't got the ball, he can. And I don't think this is lack of desire. I think that's just switching off. Just doesn't track the runners sometimes. And we all know that the biggest weakness of him is it's like he's got a 5-second counter to release the ball as soon as he's on it. In fact, 5 seconds generous, 2-second counter that when he gets it, he has to release the ball. So Bruno is in at 6. Now, number 5 is a player that has burst onto the scene, really, for United. Under Ollie, I know Ollie gave him his debut, but he was nowhere near the first team this season. But under Rangnick came in, Elanga impressed him in training, and he was rewarded with starts. And in a dark season for Manchester United, I think Elanga, another academy graduate coming in and forming, has a number of appearances in the first team, a lot of good performances. Technically, I'm not sure what his ceiling is in terms of his ability-wise, but certainly he's patched up where we were lacking in terms of desire, in terms of heart, in terms of running, in terms of energy. He's patched that up and looked good. And sometimes, if you put effort in, like Elanga, in track, and you're combative, and you put the defensive line under pressure with your running, like we saw against Norwich, where they gave him the ball basically through, because he was hunting them down, gave them the ball and he just rolled it to Ronaldo and scored. Like, sometimes you don't have to be the best player. You just have to work hard, and you'll be rewarded for that. And we've seen that with Elanga. He's had a great season. Come in, and if you were to ask me now, who would I want to see in that starting lineup? Would I want to see Elanga or Rashford? I would say Elanga every day of the week. So yeah, Elanga's in at 5, made it to the top 5. Now into the top 4, and it is Lindelof. I think he's been our best centre back this season. I think he's had a the bar is low, isn't it, for the defence in terms of how good they played. The bar is very, very low, but I think Lindelof has been our best defender. He's played a lot of games as well. He's been the least injury. I think he only had was it about a week off or two for like personal reasons. I can't remember if his family was burgled or something. But yeah, there was an understandable reason, like personal issues. In terms of injuries, he's been fit for a lot of it. So Lindelof in 4 for me. I think that's the right spot. Now number 3, we have Fred. Now Fred, I honestly think has been our best midfielder. I think he's been better than Bruno. I think at the start of the season when he played at Ollie, when Ollie's trying to play him as a number 6, I think Fred he can't play it. He can't pick the ball out off the... I don't think he's got the awareness to pick the ball off the defensive line, and I don't think he's got the awareness to know what's behind him in terms of where the opposition is in relation to him, whether he can have a touch or have a couple of touches, or whether he needs to pass it first time. I don't think he has that awareness. But when you're playing more as a number 8 and he's not got his back to goal, he's got the ball, he's got the play in front of him, and he's making little two touch passes. It's he's been very good. And I can see him having a future under Ten Hag as well. I can see Ten Hag liking his energy, his work rate. I think he can do like one touch passing, 2 touch passing. And he plays for Brazil there. I mean, Brazil, one of the favourites for the World Cup. So, and he plays in that squad, gets plenty of minutes there. So honestly, I think Fred deservedly in at 3, top 3. Now number 2. I know what you're thinking. Is it going to be, who's going to be the top 2? It's obviously between De Gea and Ronaldo. I've gone with, at number 2, Ronaldo. De Gea just squeezes it. I mean, Ronaldo undoubtedly has been... They both had... Well, I think Ronaldo has been amazing this season. Unbelievable at 37 years old to come in and do what he's done. Without Ronaldo, without these 2 players, to be honest, Ronaldo and De Gea, we would be about on the halfway mark in terms of our position in the table. But Ronaldo is the reason that we got into the knockout stages of the Champions League. Yeah, he's been unbelievable this season. And hopefully he stays on next season with Ten Hag. I think he will. I'm like 90% sure, 95% sure, I would say. He's had positive quotes come out about, he's excited to work with Ten Hag next season. So I think his mind is set on United. He's obviously got a year left on his contract at United. So United would probably want to see a transfer fee. So I don't think anybody's going to come in, pay money for Ronaldo, plus the massive wages that he is on as well. So I think Ronaldo's here to stay for next season. I'm happy about that. And then number 1, David De Gea. Obviously, I think he's been the most consistent player this season. I think he's already won, 3 Player of the Seasons at United. I think this will be another one. He's been even though he hasn't had the perfect season, he hasn't been great with the distribution with the ball at his feet. However, his shot stopping has been unbelievable this season. Unbelievable, like back to his best, back to prime De Gea this season. Henderson just hasn't had any chance of having any minutes with how good he's been. Yeah, so David De Gea thoroughly deserved that number 1 spot. In terms of next season, it's going to be interesting because even though my guy's got number 1, I think under Ten Hag maybe I think the biggest thing, less that he needs to be better with the distribution. I think coming off his line needs to be a lot better, because if you're playing a high defensive line, you can't be rooted. You can't be glued to your line, because balls over the top, and it becomes a running race between their striker and our centre-backs. And when you've got Maguire there, I mean, even Varane, typically strikers are faster than centre-backs, typically. So you need to have a goalkeeper that is good off the line if you're playing a high line. So hopefully he can improve with that. I think that's a lot easier thing to improve on than distribution from the feet. I think because improving coming off your line is just being able to judge. It's a perception thing, as opposed to kind of natural ability with the ball at your feet, which is very difficult to learn. So I think he can improve in that respect, which I think is the most important thing with Ten Hag coming in. So that is it. That is 1 to 25. From worst to best, the season for Manchester United, the players' season. Worst was Greenwood and best was De Gea. If you like the video, please do give me a subscribe. We're a very small YouTube channel at the moment. Also, my more socials are linked down below. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I'll see you next time. Ciao.